Good morning, Aakarsh. So good to have you on this show. Thanks for taking time and coming. I know you have a very, very busy schedule, but I really appreciate you taking time and coming up for the LinkedIn viewers.
Yes, very good morning, Indian, and thanks for having me here. Thanks for recognizing my talent and having the thought that you want me to share my experience and knowledge to the people. I will be glad to do that.
I guess your, name and fame comes ahead of this call, so it was not difficult for me to recognize the talent. Yeah. In fact, I'm sure a lot of people are seeing you, in a discussion for the first time. So, and I'm not too sure how many people know that you actually had a traditional, so-called, traditional start to your entire career. You are a software engineer. I mean, I don't think anybody knows this. So if you can, maybe we can start with you letting us know, how was that you started off as a typical software engineer to becoming an international illusionist. I mean, you're making all Indians proud in the world of magic. So if you can take me through that.
Yeah. So uh, I think it all started as a hobby in the beginning. Magic started as a hobby, and David Blaine, one of the most famous magicians in the world right now, and just yesterday he released this latest video called "The Magic Way." So David Blaine was performing on AXN channel. I saw his Street Magic special, and I think I was about 14 or 15, I think. I'm not sure. So when I saw that, I was completely amazed because until then, magic was about boxes, big boxes and props and cutting a woman and all that. So which I could not afford at that time. So I wanted something which is organic and which is easily available to perform. So when I saw David Blaine perform on the streets with just coins, cards, rubber bands, reading people's minds, I was like, come on, you don't need a lot of heavy props for performing magic. You can do it up close and personal to people. Then I
Right.
started researching on magic, and it started as a hobby. By the time I reached engineering, I was very much into my hobby as a magician in the college campus. I used to perform, and back then, about this part of me was looking like David Blaine, and they used to call me as David Blaine of India in the college campus. So yeah, that's how it started. And 2009, I finished my engineering. It was a peak of recession, and I got into a software company, which I was very reluctant to do. Though I was enjoying working in the software field, it was completely opposite to magic. Magic is human interaction. But
Right.
in software, there is no human interaction. You are actually sitting in front of a computer and working for 8 hours.
Right.
So, how do I say? I felt a huge disconnection there. There was a huge disconnection between what I used to do, magic, and the kind of reactions, those explosive reactions you get when you perform magic. And then suddenly you are here sitting silently, and I'm looking at the guy next to me and I'm talking to him. He is not replying. He is completely glued to his screen. So I'm like, oh my God, what have I done to my life? So, and yeah, 2010, around 2010, I got an opportunity to perform in the cruise ships in Carnival Cruise Lines in the US. They were looking for a table hopping magician.
Mhm.
And a friend of mine, a fellow magician friend of mine, has had emailed it. I went to Mumbai, attended the interview, and I got selected. So I quit my software job. I went off to US.
Wow. It takes a lot of courage to do something like that, pursue your passion when you already have a steady job. Uh, how was the reaction from your, family, your friends? How was it for you?
Definitely, my mom, my dad, my mom was like she she was cool. She did not know how to control me. She knew my son is not. I could not control my son. But my dad was very, very, very disappointed that I'm going to be a magician because in India, if you should be either a doctor or an engineer or an MBA graduate or you're a criminal. If you're not doing any of these, you are a criminal. You'll be treated as a criminal. My father was like, how are you going to survive? How will I find a girl for you? He started asking those questions 10 years ago. And yes, it's every parent's natural, what do you call it, concern. And I, the main reason why I went to the US into the cruise ships is because I had my education loan for my engineering,
Right.
and this salary which I was getting due to the recession was inadequate for paying off the loan interest. So then I thought, let me go to the US, let me finish off the loan. So I told my dad, I'm sorry, dad, please bear with me for 2 years, 2, 3 years, I'll come back. So yeah, that's how it went. Friends were really amazed. They were like, wow, you are really courageous to do this. Even now, they respect me for the decision I have taken back 10 years ago. Even now, they respect me for that. I don't know. That's a very unique, a very different respect you get for following your dream. You know.
Right. Absolutely. And I did not know that you were a self-learned magician. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yes.
And
A lot of struggle.
yeah. So in the last 10 years, from the time you started performing in the cruise ships to now, a lot of changes have happened. In the entire world, I should say. Things have changed so much in the past 10 years. Our world is more connected digitally now, and socially distant, and but digitally connected. Has your performances changed with time? I mean, for example, earlier, like you said, see, David Wayne is somebody I used to, watch his videos and really get introduced. Amazing guy, and you need somebody right there, and that's how you do it, and that's how our earlier discussions were, for example. But today we are in two different places. Physical distance is no more a problem. So, do you really need a subject right there next to you for you to perform anything, or how is your magician as a magician the performances have changed?
No, there has been a significant improvement in the field of magic, and magicians are performing online these days. Because especially in this quarantine period, in this lockdown period, a lot of magicians are going and doing mentalism or magic online. Definitely, it's possible, and if you're interested, I could probably perform one quick magic to you as well online.
Wow, is that really
Yeah.
possible? Sure. I would love to.
Okay. Let's try. I have before starting this session with you, I had sent you one link on your phone. Could you
Right.
please, yeah, click that link?
Let me open this. Okay.
Has the link loaded in a web page?
Yes, it's a
Okay.
picture. It's showing a picture.
It's a picture. It's a picture of a person holding a card. We will
Right.
get back to that in a moment. But before we proceed, I need you to get a pen and a paper, pen and a book, or a pen and a paper.
Okay, I have it handy. Sure. Okay, done. We are ready.
You done? Okay. So now, Ian, are you familiar with playing cards?
Yes.
You are
I'm.
familiar with it. Okay. Now I need you to think of a playing card. Okay. Before you do that, it's since you have the book and the paper with you. Sorry, the book and the pen. Now you can show this image over the screen to the audience.
Okay. Let me show this. See, just one
That's
second.
that's the image of a famous magician called Houdini.
Okay.
Yeah, and he is holding a playing card.
Right.
And Indian, what I need you to do now is
Mhm.
hold the phone
Just one.
towards your face,
Okay.
and I want you to look at his eyes for, let's say, about
You want,
like 10 seconds.
you were saying that I need to write something on paper. Should I do something?
Yeah, yeah, we will get back to that.
Okay.
What I need
Okay.
you to do is stare at his eyes for, let's say, 10 seconds.
Okay. I'm doing that.
And as you're staring at his eyes, completely relax yourself from head to toe. And as you're staring, imagine you're sinking into his eyes, you know. As you can see, his eyes are very sparkly.
Yeah.
Great. So now you don't need to lock the phone. You can keep the phone aside. Now there are 52 cards in a pack of cards, right? Including the jokers, there are 54 cards, two
Right.
jokers in a pack. Now I want you to think of any playing card. It's totally your choice. I want you to think of it. Don't say it. Just think of this playing card. You have a playing card in your mind?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I do not want you to say it because if you say it, people might suspect that the phone is collecting your audio and something is happening and all that, right? So I want you to write it pretty big and clear on the notepad which you're holding.
Okay, done.
Isn't it? Yes, you can show it on the screen to the audience. What's the card which you have
Okay,
written?
everyone, this is what
I
I've
hope
written.
people can see it.
I've
Yeah.
written.
Okay, don't say it. Don't say it. I want people to see it. Okay?
Okay.
Perfect. Now, here's the thing. Now, did I somehow suggest you to choose this card, or did I, before starting this interview, did I tell you to go for this card? Did I in any way influence you to choose this card?
No, of course not. We just connected and
It just,
immediately.
yeah, correct. It was just a random thing which happened to you, right? Now, what I need you to do is take
Mhm.
the phone with your phone, okay? You still are able to see the image?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this is the best part. You know what? I have been able to mentally influence your playing card, the card which you are thinking of.
Okay.
Can you believe that?
I can't believe that anybody can, but I'm waiting.
What if I said I have influenced you without your knowledge? That would be crazy, right?
I'll jump out of my seat, Akash.
Now, what you need to do is zoom in to this image, zoom into his eyes, zoom into Houdini's eyes, you zoom into his right eye first, and then zoom into his left eye. What do you see?
Woo! I need to show this to our viewers. That's his.
That,
I really hope
yeah,
you're able
yeah,
to
I
see.
can see that. I can clearly see that. It's a 7, and if you zoom into the other eye, you scroll across, and
Un-
that is hearts right there. 7 of hearts.
unbelievable,
Only,
unbelievable. In fact, I'll tell you, this is unbelievable because I did not. I don't think even my family would have guessed that I would pick this card.
the two, you had so many, you had 54 choices, right? 50, let's say 53 choices, including one joker. Now, how did this happen?
This is incredible. I was thinking that you're going to, do something with this, and I mean, how is this possible? I mean, that was a link that you sent me before the show began, and
Yes.
it's amazing.
And I asked you to click the link before I asked you to tell me what the card is, right? Or show us what the card is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, I did not tell that at all. I don't think I voiced it out at all. Yeah,
Yes.
amazing, Akash. This is,
Yeah. And some online magic for you.
now I think I really don't have a question whether that is possible or not. Yeah, wonderful. So, how do you get into you came back from your cruise ship? How is the reception in India? Because I can understand a place like a cruise ship. You're totally engaged, and then you decided to come back to India. I know you must have been really, really good with your act performances. How did the market receive you? I mean, was it all?
uh, it was a disaster, I should admit, because I had lost complete touch on software engineering. And when I came back, no software company was ready to hire me. I was probably, I think, jobless for about 8 months after I came
Okay.
back from the US. And I had some of my very, very depressing days back then. I did not even touch a pack of cards. I was
Hmm.
completely low. And, uh, and then I came to Bangalore looking for a job. And then I got into an IT hardware company. I
Mhm.
worked in a system integration company for about a year. And then I joined my brother's company. He had started a training institute. I worked there for some time. But while I was doing all this, on the side, whenever I was getting time on weekends, I was performing at restaurants. I was performing to random people and building contacts, basically. And I was building my profile as a magician. Since I'm a developer, web developer, I built my own Magic website. I mean, my website on Magic. Um, about my whole entire profile was there in that website. And yeah, so 2 3 years, it was a really really painful struggle for me because after I came back, I still had some bits of loans to clear, and uh, I went into a major depression, I would say, because
Hmm.
there have been a lot of personal problems also apart from my career, and this put me into a major depression. And when I quit my job in my brother's company, that was a leap of faith which I did, because when I was when I quit the job there, I was getting about 2 to 3 events in a month,
Mhm. Mhm.
okay, roughly. And I was able to guess that, okay, if I work on my profile more and more, if I keep performing more and more, I can get more events, you know.
Right.
And I took a leap of faith and I quit the job. But the thing is, I was in a major depression at that time. And after quitting my job, I was sitting at home in Bangalore. It was a bachelor house which I was sharing with my cousin. And every day I was surrounded by four walls and all kinds of crazy thoughts, negative thoughts, thoughts from the past, suppressed emotions. Everything was oozing out.
Right.
And I had to face my mind, I should say. I had to
Right.
literally face my mind, the chaos which has happened, which has taken over in my mind. I had to face it. And I cried a lot. I had no interest in my life. I had lost interest in magic, to be honest. But still, I never gave up. I don't know. I should thank God for that. I never gave up on magic, even though I was feeling very depressed. I never gave up on magic. Something pulled me back every time. Something pulled me back, and
Wow.
yeah. So really, really tough times. That is the moment when I was in the peak of depression, and I should thank depression because that made me realize that all the happiness which I'm seeking out in the outer world is all temporary. Nothing is permanent. And it took me about 1 or 2 years to accept this reality that I have been trying to chase something which is not permanent. The
Huh.
happiness which I'm trying to seek outside was not permanent. It took me about a year to accept this terrible truth. And while this it was a spiritual awakening for me, I should say. While the spiritual awakening was happening, I was slowly coming out of depression, and my magic profile was becoming more and more stronger because more and more event organizers were getting to know me. My profile became more powerful. My
Right.
marketing skill improved, and I reached out to a lot of people. My social media marketing improved. I did a lot of ticketed shows to the public, and all kinds of people came there, CEOs, family people, everybody came there. And I strengthened my profile. Spiritual awakening and the growth of my magic were happening in parallel.
Wow.
And then there was no stop. I was only growing, I was only growing.
That's
But I
amazing.
had been through very terrible times. Those depressive days were like hell, I should say, which has actually turned me into a diamond now, which was unpolished.
That's a great way of looking at it, Akash. It's I can't even imagine that the India's best illusionist actually had to go through rough times like that. Just before we get into that, the next part of it, I want to understand what was your mindset during that time. I mean, because most people, I'm looking at it from a career perspective, right? I mean, A lot of people want to succeed in their career. Sometimes they take the leap of faith, like you said. They take up, pursue their passion, and they hit an obstacle. Maybe as not as much as an obstacle as you just talked about, but they get hit maybe a temporary failure. Let's say for example the current situation, right? I mean, suddenly the business are down. And most people don't know what to do. They immediately think, okay, maybe I should get into a safer zone. They'll get back to a job, right? Although they're passionate about some of the things that they started with.
Yes.
What if you can just put that in a corporate sense or a career sense and say, this is how what was your mindset during that phase, of going through such a depression? Because I know it must have been very tough for you.
Hmm. See, it's very difficult to explain because there are so many emotions involved. There are so many, what do you call it, personal things involved, and you somehow forget your own identity, which you have created. That I'm a magician and I'm supposed to entertain people, and you forget all those things because of these problems. These problems have the power to shatter you, shatter your goal to make your passion as a career. They have the power to do that. But at the same time, these problems can also be a blessing in disguise because these problems made me realize what all false identifications I have given myself, that I can't do this, I am not great, that this, everything. All those negative identities which I have given myself, they have manifested.
Right.
So I've given negative identifications to myself, and they have manifested. Now, once I realized that I am nothing, and from this nothing I am creating something. Once I realized that space, that nothingness inside me, I realized, oh, in this nothingness, I was only feeding junk. That's why that junk is manifesting. Now, literally, you know what? Everybody is manifesting their visualization. Everybody is visualizing anger, hatred, sadness, failure, jealousy, and they are manifesting in their life without their knowledge. They are unconsciously manifesting it.
Wow.
Right? So I was also in that phase. Then I realized, wait a minute. So let me destroy all these identifications because none of them are me. I have realized that. Then what identifications do I want to create for myself?
Mm-hmm.
I started writing them down.
Okay.
What are the things which I want to do, what want to achieve, how I want to be looking at myself in 2 years from now, what are the characteristics I want to develop as a personality. Everything I wrote down, and then I started feeling them, literally feeling them like, okay, I have already achieved it. If I have achieved it, how would I walk? How would I talk?
Right.
So you are literally feeling as if you have jump into the future. The moment you do that, you start to manifest. It's as powerful as your negative thinking, because when you are thinking negatively, you are actually feeling that negative energy as if it's real. That's why it's manifesting, right? Now, if you do the same thing with positivity, feeling as if it's already there, it will manifest. And it did for me.
Wow. In fact, isn't this what, books which are like 1,000 years old and 2,000 years old are actually talking about? And, this is a, lost secret, I guess.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
How did this entire thing start? Did you read something, or I remember you mentioning that was a moment of enlightenment for you. But was it triggered by some event, or was it you read something? I mean, you gave a very structured, logical approach to it. Writing down. But can everybody do something like this? Does it apply to everybody?
Definitely. See, everybody has to unlearn things before learning things, because the society has been filled with so much of garbage, preconditioned notions from other people who do not want you to find your own truth. They want you to believe in what they want you to believe. And unlearning is the most painful task, because when you start unlearning, the society will start looking at you as a crazy person. So my awakening happened in the ship itself. And I have spoken about my awakening in my YouTube channel called Beyond Intellect. Okay. And that's the first video I have posted, The Awakening. It's called The Awakening. And
Okay.
in that I share how I suddenly got awakened when I was performing in a cruise ship in a wine bar, when suddenly I got an applause from audience. It was a standing ovation, and suddenly the next moment they all were gone. So I noticed this gap. I observed this gap between the sudden silence in the room and the previous moment where I had got this thunderous applause. I noticed the change in the outer reality that put me into the now.
Wow.
I became so involved in the now. I was like, that expanded my awareness in an aerial view of looking at myself from the outside in a ship, then on a planet, in the solar system, in the galaxy. So, yeah, I have explained that. People who are interested, they can watch that. It's in my YouTube channel, Beyond Intellect, and the video is The Awakening. Now, after this awakening, there is no looking back, because you will start looking at the world in a totally different perspective altogether. Your level of awareness will be very high, and you will not look at objects as simply objects. You will look at them in a magical way. Everything seems to be magical to you. This whole creation is itself magical. And once you realize that, you will feel, I am a being with so much of intellect. Why I have not perceived this life with so much of awareness? Now that I have this awareness to perceive this life with so much of awareness, what can I do with this mind and body? How much can I evolve from within? All these questions started arising within me. I should say it's completely self-inquiry. Also, I was reading Bhagavad Gita.
Wow.
When Krishna was saying, I am the source, I am the source, I was initially thinking this man is, it's like a cult-based thing. Somewhere I was feeling disconnection with Krishna because this I which he was talking. But now I know what he was meaning when he said I. He is not talking about the ego body. He's talking about the true self,
Mhm.
Atman, which is coming from the Brahma. So you're talking about the source. You're talking about the source. So yeah, those depressive days put me to self-inquiry, and this self-inquiry led me to these major realizations.
Wonderful. I mean, if you don't mind, Akash, I mean, that was a deep thing, thanks for sharing. But if I can just take you a little beyond, I mean, from there to now, how is it, how has it been your, inward journey? I mean, if you can, if there is something that, you can share with us, which can help all of us.
Hmm. So I would like to share with the world that please do not search for God outside. Initially, the search for God will be outside, but then I realized that I am God. I literally realized it through my self-inquiry. I'm not saying my ego is God or my body is God. I'm saying this witness who's witnessing the behavior of this ego and this body. That is the source. From that source, this body and mind has come.
Right.
So if you want to connect to God, you don't need an idol. You can simply connect to God within, in this silence, in this moment. Which led me to another realization that this whole outer reality is a creation of my inner self. It's a reflection of my inner self. So if I think in my deepest subconscious level that this world is a beautiful place to live, I will experience this world in a completely different way than my neighbor would.
Right.
So the life we are experiencing comes from within to without. So, but the problem is we have been ignoring this. So it's been on autoplay. It's been autoplay, and whatever negative energies we collect from outside in a subconscious way, unconsciously, sorry, that has been manifesting from inside, it's manifesting outside. So now if you live your life consciously, becoming aware of each emotion and your breath, your emotion, this moment, the energy from others, if you become completely aware, you can control the major aspects of your outer reality, is what I have realized. Now I'm working on that.
In fact, we would love to have a complete session on that, Akash. I mean,
Yeah, it's too deep. I'm sorry for talking too much.
no,
But once
no,
you start explaining, it has to finish. That's the tough part.
I'm really glad you shared because not everybody gets to experience that. I mean, a lot of times we get disconnected when we are, not in the realm of things. We get disconnected when somebody talks and we say, okay, something, not related to me, kind of a thing. But like you rightly said, it's within, every one of us. And, it's beautiful.
Absolutely. Everybody can reach this state of awareness.
Um, Coming back to, your performances and extraordinary talent, I should say. Um, how easy or difficult is it to come out with a new performance or an act, because yours needs to be so dynamic. I mean, there has to be continuous development, and innovation and creativity, that is required. And I'm just trying to draw a parallel in any field. If anybody can be actually that much creative and that much on the cutting edge of your field, I think they'll be very, very successful. So from there I'm coming. So how easy it is or difficult it is for you to update something, that's, right there. For example, now, the trending thing is the lockdown and the corona and things like that. And so
Yeah.
how much time does it take for you to conceptualize something and come out with it? Is there something that you can share with us?
Yeah, this is the behind the scenes of magic you're asking me. Yes, it is definitely, it's a very, very creative process. Indian magic is a very creative process, and it takes your personality. Helps you in improving your personality. It helps you in speech. It helps you in building your confidence. It helps you in building your peripheral vision. It helps you in so many language. It helps you in everything. So there is something called as the method. There is the plot. What
Mhm.
should happen? What should happen? For example, I want to perform something. What is that something? For example, your thought of card appearing on Houdini's eyes. That's
Right,
a plot. Okay. And now, if I have to make this plot come to life, there should be a method.
right.
Correct. So I have to come up with a method. It can be sleight of hand, it can be psychology, it can be science, it can be hypnosis. It could be a combination of multiple things to accomplish this plot. Then to layer that off, the next layer is presentation.
Okay,
Now the food is cooked. Now how do you present it on a plate? So
right.
there is plot, there is method, and there is presentation. The
Okay.
presentation is also equally important because if your presentation is quite boring, people will disconnect no matter how good the plot is,
You're right.
how good the trick is, basically. People will get disconnected. So I sit at home, I go inside, I go into stillness, I come up with some ideas. Okay, this is what I want my audience to experience. I don't think about how I'm going to do it, the methodology. I don't think about that because that will create blockage in my creativity. So I come up with an idea. I want my audience to experience this. Then I see what are the ways I can achieve this.
Okay.
It's proper engineering of an effect, actually. And then I come up with a presentation which suits my personality. Now, if it's another magician, he can do the same magic, same effect, but he has to build his own presentation which suits his personality.
Okay.
You know. So this is the engineering of an effect, a magic effect. And how do I come up with new effects? Some of them I create, some of them I'll show you what I do. Now I just got married, so my house is a little bit of mess. So let me show you my library. That's my
Okay.
library. It's filled with magic books, spiritual books, and you see there is a magic book here.
Right.
These are all magic books actually. Most of them are magic books, as you can
Okay.
see. And here below also there are magic books over
Right.
there. So I keep reading books on magic, and currently I'm reading this book right now. It's a little bit of a mess right now. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
perfectly fine.
I'm
Thank you.
reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want people to see this, the proper behind the scenes how of a magician's life because they will be very curious, right? What do
Absolutely.
magicians do? So I have this close-up pad,
Okay.
and I take my cards. I start practicing my whatever effects I perform, and
Right.
it's very meditative. You just go into a flow state. Flow state.
Mm-hmm.
So you go into a flow state, completely meditative. You are not bothered about the time, what time of the day it is. who's fighting next door. You don't bother about. You'll be like going into it.
You know what? The completely out of the thing. The first person I heard talking about flow state is Sachin Tendulkar,
Is it
and
okay?
suddenly I realized a lot of people who are at the top of the game actually talk about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Flow state
Suddenly,
is yeah,
the entire thing shuts off. And that's what
absolutely.
football legend talks about Pele, right? I mean, he talks about a flow state. I mean, the entire crowd, the noise is shut off,
Shut up.
and it's him and the ball, right? And
Absolutely.
I'm so glad
Yeah.
that you, yeah,
Yeah, because this will help people who are seeking alternative careers. When you get into a flow state, you're not bothered whether you're going to make money and all that. That will become secondary because this flow state in itself is an extremely blissful state. Once you reach this state, your work will be very refined.
right,
The quality of work which you have will be very refined. Now, if you simply promote yourself, the work will speak for itself because flow state gives you that kind of a byproduct.
right,
So yeah, and last thing which I would like to add for people who are seeking alternative career, it's not just important to be really good at what you're doing. You should, if this relates to them, they should also be able to promote themselves.
right,
They should search for target audience to whom they should be providing their service. They have to list down their target audience. Then they have to reach out to these target audience, try to have a digital presence and
right,
have a professional business card. And yeah, so it takes about, depending upon the kind of business which they do, it takes about a couple of years to get a foothold. Once it's there, it's a smooth sail. Then it's going to grow by itself.
now that you showed me a little behind the scenes, I'm so tempted to request you for one more performance for the audience if you don't mind.
Yeah. So this performance is based on the current situation right now. And coronavirus, if you wake up, you will hear somebody talk about coronavirus. If you open your phone, coronavirus. If you switch on the TV, coronavirus. Everywhere it's coronavirus. So I thought, let me also perform something which is related to coronavirus. It's called Cardona virus. Okay, it's coronavirus of cards,
Okay.
coronavirus, and that's what I'm going to perform right now. And here we go.
Hi guys, as you can see we have a card which is torn into 4 pieces here, the 10 of clubs. Now this card is suffering from a very rare disease called as the Cardona virus. You can call it as the coronavirus of cards. And we have 2 indices here, 2 pieces with the indices and 2 pieces without the indices. You can call them as the corners. Now let me show you what the coronavirus does. Have a look at this index piece. I'll keep it face down over here. And then I'll take one corner piece and leave it face down along with that index piece. So now we are left with one corner and one index piece on my hand. Now, if I simply bring this close to those pieces, because of the virus, the index pieces come together. Which means the corners have also gone back together. I know it's crazy. So we're gonna try something. We're gonna leave the corner and the index piece in something called as the quarantine zone. Okay? We're gonna leave them inside this quarantine zone. And we'll actually seal this zone shut. We will leave it here for now. Now we are left with one corner and one index piece. Now I'm going to take out one of these pieces. So I got this corner. I will leave the index piece over there. Now watch the corner. Because of the virus, now it becomes the index piece, and the corner jumps here. Now these two pieces are still infected with the coronavirus. However, let's have a look at the quarantined pieces. We'll gently cut off this envelope right there. See that? Believe it or not, the quarantined pieces have healed themselves and come back together. Thank you.
Akash, I mean, you blowing my mind, man. I mean, this is unbelievable. We've just been talking about coronavirus, and you're so updated. Something to bring the plot there around about it. I mean, it's just amazing. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. Just before we close, Akash, I have a question now, especially from someone like you who seems to be, literally flowing from one state of being to the other, right? I mean, um, I can see that a lot of success principles, laws of success are something that you're living by. If you can help us a little elaborately, what is your thought process, and can anybody use some of these things? What is that somebody can use from your learning so far that they can learn? How can they start their journey? How can they learn? How can they apply it in their life so that they can also be successful? I think our viewers will be very, very, it will help all of us a lot.
I think the most important thing is, first thing is for people to identify what is it that they love to do. Because people have been following the herd, and that's where they have been like damaging their own life by hating the job, having work pressure, like blood pressure, work pressure, everything. So first they need to identify what is it that they love to do, and once they like boil down to that, there is more clarity. They need to remove all the unwanted things, cut off all the unwanted things, focus on what they love to do. Once they boil down on that, they need to create an action plan. Okay. Now that I know this is what I like to do, I need to create an action plan. So let me see. These are the things which I need to do. This is based for the career guys, people who are looking for alternative careers, or people who are looking for anything goal oriented.
Right.
So they have to have an action plan. Once they have an action plan, they have to stick to it. Okay. Now, when they are working on their action plan, they might procrastinate. This is where being aware, being mindful comes in. Career is not separate from spirituality.
Right.
It's connected, because everything is finally connected to the spirit. From the spirit comes the work outside, right? So the spirit has to be aware of the emotions running in its mind. They have to be aware of the emotions running in their mind, emotions thrown at them by other people's minds, the kind of situations which are happening around them. They should make sure that they are maintaining integrity. They are being centered all the time. They're not letting their energy scatter away. If they let their energy scatter away, let them forgive themselves, come back, do the next action plan.
Okay.
And if they feel a little disconnected from the project, okay, let them take a break. When they feel this connection again, let them go back, finish off the next work, but make sure that you keep in touch with your action plan. And then you slowly start executing them. And you have to do this whole thing with love, not thinking about the successful point that one day when I'll be successful. No. Peace or joy or happiness lies in the now. Tomorrow is an imaginary thing. We don't know whether we'll be alive or not tomorrow. So we have to be doing any action plan related to your goal now, and we should do it joyfully in flow state. Even the action plan in flow state. Do it, enjoy it, bliss out in it. That's it. That's all is bullshit. Secondly, stop accumulating too many things. Be a minimalist. Because when we have a lot of objects which belong to us, our energy gets scattered around and it creates a very confused pattern. And people will not know what they want to do in their life, because these objects are all having an invisible energy connection with people. So the lesser the objects you have, the more you are focusing on your needs and less you are focusing on your wants, the life will be more blissful, naturally, effortless, I would say. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Wow, Akash. I mean, don't mistake me, but when we started this journey, I thought I was talking to an illusionist, and but now I'm realizing you're an illusionist of the mind. You're an illusionist of the of life space.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
It's just an extension of the. I think the performance trick is just an extension of what is happening inside. Yeah.
Yes,
Uh, I,
absolutely.
I want to really thank you, Akash, for taking time out of a busy schedule, being with all of us, and more so, showing us the behind the scenes of what runs in the mind of a, world's best illusionist, in my, opinion. And wish you all the best. We
Thank
really look
you.
forward to where, David Blaine looks up and says, you know what, hey, this is a guy you should, talk about, and and I know that day is not very far.
Thanks a lot, Indian. And I should also thank you for giving me this opportunity. And also, I want to compliment you here because you are a very receptive person. Okay. And you are very matured, very receptive. And you yourself have a very good awareness about the world, about the mind and body. I could get that energy from you. And I have a strong feeling you're going to be a very, very positive influence for a lot of people in the near future. And keep doing a great job. And yeah, let's hope this video session was really helpful for the viewers. And if there was anything wrong in which I said and which hurt somebody, I'm sorry about that. But I was sharing things from my heart. Yeah.
Thank you, Akash. Thank you for your kind words, first of all, and thank you once again for taking time and joining us.
Thank you.